right, welcome everyone to this week's Wada Forum. So glad to have you all with us today. And welcome. This forum is taking a bit of a new direction. So just wanted to kind of highlight early on the new angle we're taking for the Wada Forums. We will be focusing once a month on having a big Wada Forum where we'll invite, the target audiences, bring a friend. We hope to have guest speakers, et cetera, et cetera. We'll talk about relevant topics. We'll still have a space for updates, of course, but we're focusing more energy into that as a once a month event. But then save this spot in your calendar weekly because we do want to keep the space for the other weeks to keep it sort of like a general meeting within WADA where we encourage, the hub leads. We want to talk about pertinent topics within our network and have this more as kind of a general meeting style where everyone should get to talk. We should get feedback on things that are really affecting WADA and that are affecting you all, and how we can address that. So I just wanted to highlight that this week is going to be more in that format of a meeting, where we do hope to be hearing from you all, and kind of making this an engaging session. So we do have some slides, but also we'll be taking, detailed notes, kind of like minutes for the meeting. So as to structure it that way for these sessions. So I just wanted to highlight that early on.
Yeah. And just to add a little bit to that, from next week, our meetings will be 5 UTC. So Megan put out a poll in our socials, and it looks like this 2 p.m. UTC doesn't work for as many people. So from next week, we will be shifting to 5 UTC.
Yes. So that being said, we're going to shift to the next slide, which talks about what is our agenda for today. So, we do want to start with our opening, as we have been doing, and then we want to zoom in on some of the WADA Community Network updates. We have a couple of things to talk about on the Singularity Net side, and then a few things also on the Cardano Intersect side, as well as talking about some internal updates, hearing from, of course, our WADA D-Rep, and then also talking about some current events, a call to action, and how can we support GOMA in this very trying time for them. So there's just kind of an overview of what we'll have today. We're going to keep sharing this every time, just some knowledge-based resources. Take a note of these if you need to find more information here. All right, Mercy, I'll pass over to you.
So, every week we want to remind ourselves why we're here. And our primary reason is to bring in or to elevate. So when we talk about elevating the underrepresented groups, for a lot of these entities that we work with, Intersect, Cardano, Singularity Net, and so on and so forth, it is it's a representation, right, to bring more people into those ecosystems. And the reciprocal benefit is that, we create opportunities for young people on the continent, on the ground and everywhere, because, we don't stop anyone from aligning with us. But as long as there is an underrepresentation, we use the application of technology. And we're hoping that by all our efforts, the future will be much brighter for some people, or for all of us, even though it wasn't so. What technology can do is to leapfrog. So, yeah, That's what I wanted to say regarding our mission. Thank you.
All right, thanks so much, Mercy. Love hearing that from you. Next, we just have a quick recap on the previous meeting. So for those of you who missed it, is Edufwa here? Edufwa, are you able to speak?
Yes, Edufwa is here. Just a quick recap of what we discussed last week on the forum. So last week was for ecosystem updates. We had some updates from Intersect, and we said that the Intersect continues to evolve as an MBO, and we encourage members to join through the various membership tiers. There are elections, upcoming elections for April and October as well. And we discussed that we saw low participation from some regions like Africa in the previous elections. So WADA is developing a strategy to enhance representation in these governance bodies this time around. For Catalyst, there was not much information to give because the town halls are still in their retrospective era. For Singularity Net, we spoke about some RFPs that are going on and an ongoing research on DDIs, as well as some specialized community hubs that were coming up. We also said that WADA had submitted a proposal related to these deep funding community hubs. For WADA DREP updates, we said that WADA DREP has secured 11.45 million AIDA in our delegations from 46 delegators, and we are always grateful for the trust and support of our delegators as well. We have also participated in the voting for the Cardano Constitution to replace the interim version. And then there was the DREP, very interesting DREP discussion, where there were panelists like Madam Mercy from WADA, Kenrick, Nana Safo, who is our DREP man, and Samuel, who was our moderator, as well as Megan. And the panelists discussed some participation challenges, barriers, and potential solutions. It was an interesting discussion, and the recording has been uploaded on YouTube. So those who missed it can have a look at it as well. Thank you, Megan. Back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Edufwa. And as was said, last week was really trying to mock one of these bigger sessions with a panel discussion. So look for events like that and more of that type of stuff on the once a month basis. But next, we're going to dive into some of our updates. And this is the part where I do encourage everyone to kind of interact, raise your hand. Maybe we'll call on you to talk about some things. But now I want to pass the mic over to Nana Safu to walk us through some of what's going over on SingularityNet and BGI Nexus.
Thank you very much, Megan. So there's updates from SingularityNet and then deep funding, particularly, right? We're going to focus more on deep funding. So as we all may know, deep funding is all about RFPs. It's just like the catalyst wing of SingularityNet. And this year alone, there's been about 3 RFPs open. One has actually closed, some time back. Last week, I made mention about it. And this week, I just want to highlight the fact that there are still 2 more open with deep funding, and there is another, funding opportunity that is also available for people to grab. So if you are here and then you are a community hub member or hub lead, it's good that you're here because we want to share this opportunity with you as WADA Global, and then, give you the chance to actually come up with your ideas. And then we will see which of the ideas probably fit best to support in this funding rounds. So not to waste time, like I said, there are 2 RFPs open now. One is called the Decentralized Digital Identity, which is the DATE research. And that particular RFP is looking for proposals to research a decentralized digital identity hub to integrate existing decentralized identity solutions to ensure unique verifiable identities for reputation scores. So basically, they are looking for individuals or team who are, who have expertise in research that regards decentralized identities and all. So if you are such, you can apply for that particular RFP, and it has a total budget of about $120,000. That is going to be shared amongst, a selected team at the end of the day. And it is expected that if you are funded, your execution should not last more than 3 months, practically. And as of now, there is just about 18 days more for you to submit your proposal on that particular RFP. So please do well to look it out in the in the deepfunding.ai website. And also there is another RFP open, which is a reputation and vote weight system. And that is also looking for, developers or tech-savvy projects where they're going to develop an architecture for modular microservices, an initial suite of key microservices, and the user interface for a deep funding and SNet reputation and voting weight system. So if they want to build a new voting weight system, just like you're experiencing in Project Catalyst, where day in and day out, there is experiments on which kind of voting system really would work for the entire community. So they are also looking for developers or people who have ideas into these specific roles. Come up with your proposals, and there's about $140,000 budget to be shared amongst the selected proposals or selected teams at the end of the day. And with that one, there's also just about 18 days left for submission of proposals. So please do well to look it out. And then the next one, which is more like the big opportunity here, is a new, introduction actually into the deep funding ecosystem. So it is BGI Nexus Lightning Grant Round 1, and they are looking for technical projects that aim for social and environmental good. So if you have any idea that is very technical, like for instance creating a system that can actually aid environmental and social, then you're good to apply for such funding opportunity. And they are saying that the proposals must of course align with the BGI vision, and that is basically to gather and promote human values and safety and ethics, and also provide ways for people to contribute in whatever way they can towards the collective of goals in ethics and benevolent AI. So your system practically must have some form of AI integration and must also be technical and must also focus on social and environmental good. That's in a nutshell what is expected of you if you are going to propose for such funding round. And there is a budget of about $500,000 to be shared amongst proposals. And each and every single proposal has a cap of $50,000 to apply for. And there is just about 11 days left for submission of proposals. So please do well to look it out and submit your proposals. Thank you.
This is exciting. I wonder, I saw Janti in and out. I wonder if his ears perked up on the DID. Janti, are you with us?
Yeah. Yes, my connection wasn't good, but yes, I was able to follow up in middle of Nana Safo's exposition.
Have you followed SingularityNet at all? Are you familiar with the deep funding, their kind of grant platform?
Not yet.
All right. Well, I just wanted to point this out. I don't know if you wanted to be continuing this kind of work or delegating it, etc. But it could be a way for you to pick back up into your DIDs.
Thank you very much for the. Yes, we do need the DIDs, and I will look into it. Focusing on Equival up to March, but yes, I hope to have more time to look into other opportunities. Yeah. Merci, Megan.
Yeah, good. Anyone else? I mean, is this interesting? I'd love to hear if anyone's getting any ideas from this. I mean, we've got 11 days for the last one, but 18 days for the other ones. So if anyone wanted to kind of call out an idea, help us talk through it at all, see if it seems like a good fit, feel free to raise your hand.
Yeah, and Megan, what we are also planning is that in subsequent calls, we're gonna have opportunities for, the various individuals who may have ideas to, kind of pitch their ideas to us, like 2 minutes max. And then from then we will select a few, which we like, because we don't want to be competing ourselves, on the platforms. Like it doesn't do any good to, the network. So we want to have people pitch their ideas, and then, internally we will select the ones that, we feel like has higher potential of actually getting funded. And then we all come together to support that particular idea. And then we push it through. And then if funded, we all come on board as a team, to help with the implementation. So yeah, maybe as of now, people don't really have the idea because, we just announced it to them, but we can give them some time to go and prepare their ideas, put something together, 2 minutes max, just come and tell us what you have. And then we can take it up from there in terms of supporting you through submissions and everything. And maybe Mercy can add a few to it.
Yeah, so for the community hub round, and thanks for raising that, Nana Safo. Abdurrahman, Next Trend Lab, he had reached out that he wanted to collaborate. So we actually came to an agreement in terms of how that could be done, sort of that mutual support. So yeah, let's, this is something that we'll still have to figure out how we do it and do it well, so that it's a win-win-win for everyone. But yeah, it's absolutely important that we are not going to these platforms sort of competing amongst one another. And that is actually one of the rationale in terms of the committee representation focus. As a network, we just have to be careful that we are not competing amongst ourselves when it comes to seats. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, thanks for that contribution, Nana Safo.
Darlington, welcome. Please, you have your hand up.
Hopefully I can join this forum more often. I was just thinking when you guys was talking about the DID stuff. I know Full Track and what's the other one? I'm forgetting his name now. Dominic.
Trust level.
I think so. There's all that effort happening. You can hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, there's that effort happening around reputation right now on the Cardano side of things, but I don't think any of that reputation is being channeled towards DID. So it just feels like a natural continuation of that project that's happening. Maybe.
Yeah, that seems like a big gap, right? Back to you, Megan.
Yeah, no, I wanted to highlight that on the Singularity Net side, Fotrek has been very active in shaping their reputation system and their voting system. So that is kind of good to highlight that that's also happening in the Catalyst side. But for anyone who's interested, the way Singularity Net does voting is quite different from Catalyst. They do already take into account a few different things. There is somewhat of a quadratic weighting of the wallets. And there's also this reputation score that's also a factor in the weight of your vote. So for people who are interested in that kind of area, would definitely recommend, exploring what Singularity Net is doing already, and maybe look into this middle category here as well. Oh yeah, and I see Abdulrahman is mentioning old wallet factor as well. So kind of the age of your wallet that plays also a factor. So for those of us who may have critiques of the Catalyst voting, I would encourage you to look over there and see another way that it's being done. And maybe if you have your own ideas of what to weigh in, you could pitch into this one category. But thanks so much for bringing that up. And yeah, we hope to see you more often here.
Yeah, from next week, we are pushing the meeting because that seems to be a better time for people. We are pushing it to 5 p.m. UTC. I know that when you're in Kenya, that will be quite late. But yeah, let's see how it goes. It looks like majority do want it at 5 p.m. UTC though. So hopefully we'll get you more often. Thanks for coming, and thanks everyone for coming.
Dan, welcome. I see your hand is raised. Do you have an idea to share?
Hello everyone. Hope you're doing well, and thank you for the forum. I got a chance to join the forum today, and I'm pretty sure that I'll be quite available from February. And about the grant, the Nexus, I read about it before, and I had a project. Unfortunately, I was not prepared to present the idea, but I'll share the link in the group on WhatsApp, so maybe you can give your suggestion. And about the reputation, no, the vote weight, I read a lot about it, but it's a quite big project. It's not really possible for one simple group to develop it. And if we want to apply a project on the voting weight system, we need to like act as one, make sure that we have a good team of developers, not only developers, but people with good experience in development, but it's not a simple project. So if we want to apply on such a project, like a weight system, it's doable, it's really possible to do it, but we really need to think it over and to make sure that we have a good team, a good developer team. Thank you. That's what I had to say. But the reason why I'm talking about it, it's really a simple a simple system, but a big one. It need to make sure that we have a lot of resources.
Yeah, Dan, thanks for highlighting that. And, just to circle back on, you not being prepared to present your idea, it's no problem. I wanted to offer if anyone wanted to just throw anything out there, but we will have a specific time at next week's forum for you to talk about your idea if you want to prepare something for next week. And then it's also a really good point you're bringing up about, this kind of idea that it's hard to come into some of these things as just one small individual. But that's where we realized like we really need to leverage this space of coming together as the WADA community better so that we can come together on these ideas, because maybe you have a couple of people at your hub and there might be a couple of people in Cameroon. There might be, a dozen people in Ghana who want to come together for an idea, and that's already forming a big team with a diverse skill set. So that's kind of the type of thing that we want to be using this space for more. Kicking off 2025 with helping these groups come together and put in a more solid team and more solid proposals. And where can WADA name and community fit into that if it's, WADA that's proposing and the team that's coming together organically, through our hubs, that type of thing. So I'm really glad that you highlighted that, because that's, something we want to make sure is clear about what we hope to improve on in the new year and through this forum space.
Yeah, and just to quickly add, when it comes to Singularity Net, they are in the decentralized AI space. They have very specialized language. I totally agree with Dan in terms of, especially even the reputation system, right? The weighted wallets. It's been what do you call it? A problem statement that is still, it's not perfect yet, but at least they are they are exploring something. They are trying to answer that very, very thorny wallet voting issue. But what I want to add is that, some of you may be aware, we are in very serious discussion with SNET, because now they are very, very interested in training, building capacity, especially in sub-Saharan Africa, right? So that a lot of these solutions, as Megan and Dan is saying, we can maybe today we can't do that, but let's be future oriented. In a year, maybe in 2 years, we will have such a good big community development sort of resources, both in AI and in blockchain, right? That will really help, as our mission says, to create a more equitable future through the application of technology.
Love it. Throw the plug in. So let's move on. I feel like this is exciting, the SingularityNet side. Let's move on to our next updates on Cardano and Intersect. So let me pass over the mic. Mercy, are you kicking us off?
I am indeed.
Okay. Yes, back to you. Thanks.
Yeah. So everyone hear me. When we talk about Cardano budget, we talk about Intersect committee positions, and a lot of the working groups and the stuff that is happening in Cardano. The treasury is coming live. It fills me with anxiety, people. And let me tell you why. So I know that, when we look at our sub-Saharan Africa situation, internet costs can be quite expensive, right? So a lot of times we are not having, our community members being active in working groups, attending a lot of these online meetings. Can you imagine that? So when we look at the committee seats, so I think there are, how many committees? Oh, I think about 8 or something like that. And out of these 8, there are on average about, so 8, let's say eight committees, and let's say 8 members. So that's 8 is what? 8 times 8 is 64, I believe. So out of these 64, it's only myself and Darlington that is in any of these positions. Recently, the growth and marketing working group became a committee. So now we have Kit Mubarak also there as well. So it's just 3. So that really, really bothers me. But before I go into that, I want to just quickly talk about the Cardano budget. As we all know, it's been released. It's on the Cardano Forum. Please, if you don't have an account on the Cardano Forum, create an account. Take some time and go through, find out where we are in there, right? From sort of our network perspective, our Africa perspective, and even the hubs network and our partner perspective, because there are opportunities in there. But, like the budget committee, I've listened to a lot of these presentations. I tried to put Africa in there, but it's only me by myself on the budget committee. Darlington is doing a lot on the, the MCC side of things. Somebody like Laurentine has been really pushing on the Intersect Hub side of things. She's been attending the meetings. But what I'm saying is that whether it is budget or whether it is the Intersect committee positions, we need to step up. We need to just, because sometimes, like in the Akan language, we have a saying that says, it's like we use money to make money, right? So all that I'm saying is that let's try a little bit. If any of you want to know opportunities, whether through the budget, as far as what I know, and we'll be sharing more regarding the budget. So if you want to know more opportunities regarding the committees, please let me know. Majority, like somebody like Kate, what he did was that he was really, really involved in a working group, right? So sometimes it's a working group. That's where you start, be visible, attend some of these Twitter spaces, Kate Underground, Kate, Nana Safo. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention Nana Safo in terms of involvement in Intersect. He's also doing really great, and thank you, Wada Rep. Like Maureen, Kate, Nana Safo. These are people that are appearing on Twitter spaces, and they are being seen. They are locking into the discussion. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to do anything, even just listening. Because even me, day in and day out, I'm learning new things. So all that I'm saying is that, in these intimate sort of weekly meetings, we will try and, do organized deep dives instead in terms of what our strategy should be. Because a lot of us, the reason that we came into Cardano is because of the Africa Promise. And we haven't forgotten. I haven't forgotten. I wake up every day and I'm trying to figure out how we get it done. But we need more people. We need more people. I think I'll pause here a little bit. In terms of the Intersect Committee positions, I think I mentioned it a little bit in the chat. So what we're going to do, the WADA Twitter account, well, that is where it looks like almost all of Cardano politics is. We're going to use that to actually highlight one candidate from our network per committee seats, because we are not going to, compete amongst ourselves. It didn't help us the last time. There was very good participation, but our strategy didn't work. But we're going to use that account to really just limit to Africa candidates, one seat, one candidate per seat. And if there are two or more candidates that express an interest in any particular seat, we are developing a criteria. So some of those criteria could be potential for winning, like how visible is that person in the ecosystem, both in the WADA network and also in Cardano. In Catalyst, have they completed projects, attending forums, sort of, we need to back a winning horse, right? There are other things that we will be looking at, but we are developing the criteria and we'll share with you as soon as possible. Okay, I've taken a lot of time. Back to you, Megan. Regarding the last one, the DREP compensation event, that is happening right after this call. So please, jump in. If anybody can drop a link in the chat, that would be amazing. I have a breakout room. Nana Safo also has a breakout room. But it's a very interesting topic. For those of you that have been on Twitter, it's a very heated discussion. So come over and add your voice if you can. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Mercy. A lot of gems there. So there's the link to the Cardano budget. Today is the announcement from our side of things. But look in the next forum weeks to presenting more of a summary. So you can come back with your questions, etc. And we're debating, but for our big session, the beginning of next month, we might have another panel discussion or more of an in-depth into the budget as a potential topic that could interest everyone. And then I'll see, I have the DREP event. I'll try to post that in the chat. Oh, Nana Safo beat me. Excellent. So yeah, right after this call, we will be ending promptly on the hour because a lot of us need to jump over there. But do encourage everyone to jump in and listen in. It's a community consultation event. So the point of it is to get feedback from the community. All right, so moving along, we gave you some of our external updates. Now let's move to the internal. So first I want to pass over to Nana Safo to talk about the WADA DREP, how we're doing.
Yes, so we're doing pretty good. Our delegation numbers, the delegators has now surged to 55. And then the total voting power, as of now, is around 11.465 million ADA. So that's an increase over there. And yeah, while we do appreciate those who are delegating to us so far, we also want to take the chance also, encourage each and everyone over here. And if you are watching later and you are not yet delegated to a DREP, please don't allow your voting power to go to the auto abstain. It doesn't help the ecosystem. Please find a DREP and delegate to them because your voice is very much needed in governance. And if you are struggling finding a DREP, Wada DREP, you are always available to have your stake and represent you, truly. So yeah, please do look for us. And our ID is in the chat. Please take it up and then delegate to us. We're happy to have your delegation. Thank you, Megan.
And just to excuse me, it's so early here. Just to quickly add, I know that we have quite a few DREPs in our network. We have LACO. I think Darlington also has a DREP, Dan, I believe, Boaz. So anyone that wants to drop your ID, please do so. And the reason that is important that we promote and push one another is that there are some delegators that Wada DREP could reach, and there are some delegators that only, let's say, Lido Nation can reach. So I believe also Ubio is a DREP. So let's look at some of these, and Maureen as well. I don't know if I've mentioned her, but let's look out for some of these, what do you call it, DREPs, and let's push and let's support them. Right now it might look like our voting power is not that big, but 1,000 of 1,000 makes a million. The same way that one of million makes a million. All that I'm saying is that when it comes to Africa, we have numbers, right? So let's leverage those numbers. Let's work hard. Sometimes I talk to Kit. Okay, by the way, Kit is also a DREP, and he has all these fantastic ideas. It might not materialize today or tomorrow, but let's get on a path of supporting one another, pushing one another, bringing people in, and increasing our voting power. Thank you. Thanks for that, Nana Safo. Back to you, Megan.
Yeah, it's exciting to hear those updates. That number, it's getting up there in the millions. I love it. So good job, Nana Safo. Thanks for all the work that you do, putting the name out there, and thanks to everyone who's been supporting. Darlington, I see your hand is up. Welcome to the stage.
Thank you. I was just gonna say, I wonder if it will make sense to try to organize the DREP that's representing or based in Africa to really, even though we're separate DREPs, but I feel like we can still be a united voting bloc, because one thing that came up recently with the DREPs is Charles' conversation about you pick the DREPs, you were the one who chose who the top 100 DREPs are, the top 50. And when there's an assertive effort to see what the DREPs think and what their community is feeling, it seems like they're just focusing on the top 50 or the top 75. So maybe as a block, we can always be technically counted, when they're counting the top 10 DREPs kind of a thing. But I'm sure the tooling, if we be the one to set this trend, the tooling might start showing DREPs as blocks, like the same way they do for stake pools, where they have these different stake pool groups. Idea.
Very well said there, Darlington. In fact, maybe next week, because today our agenda is quite packed, but we have already been seriously thinking about sort of these block, sort of ideas. So we'll share next week, but absolutely, totally, we agree with you. And for now, even it's not just the vote, right? But also our voices, like the fact that we are DREPs, but maybe we, sort of our stake doesn't move the needle, doesn't mean that we don't have voices. So we are planning something, and we will pull you in, actually. Darlington, I've been wanting to talk to you about it, but it's just time and so many things that we are planning. and on top of other things, So yes, totally, that is something that we need to keep in mind. It's going to be in blocks. It's going to, yeah. So thank you. Like political parties, so to speak. Cheers.
Yeah, and also if you're a DREP and then you're an African DREP, African here, I mean to say that if you're focusing on Africa or you're based in Africa, right, and you're a DREP, there's a link in the chat. Kindly do well to fill it up. We are trying to build a database of African DREPs and then use it for some sort of ecosystem mapping for DREPs. So yeah, please do well to fill it up for us. Thank you very much.
Yeah, this is another topic, we'll need to dive some more into. I like what's being brought up. But for today's session, we're going to move on to our last agenda item, which is kind of just coming together as, a family, the Wada family, and talk about what's going on in Goma, and how it's affecting our team members. I see Boaz, you're here on the call with us. So glad to see you. It's been sort of up and down over the last few weeks with everything that's going on around you. So, some of us were kind of putting our heads together and just trying to understand, what you all need in terms of support, how we can give it to you. But just wanted to kind of introduce this as a topic, that, we are a family and we're here for each other. So maybe I'll pass over to Mercy for some initial thoughts on this.
Yeah, so I will talk very briefly and also hand it over to Jonty. If Boaz can also talk, maybe he can give us a very quick update. So basically, when it comes to the Goma city itself and surrounding areas, it wasn't the most stable of places because of some of the other wars that were going on around. But unfortunately now, Goma became targeted and it sort of affected our hub members there. As we all know, Boaz is just one of the amazing people in the ecosystem, very known throughout Cardano. And of course, one of the reasons that he's so effective is he's such a team lead, right? He thinks about his team members, his hub members. So basically what we are trying to do, because I do want to hand over to Jonty as well, and as I said, Boaz, if he can talk, is that we do want to, because right now what is happening is that because the rebels have now come in, there is quite a pushback from the government in terms of what is, goods and services, what is going in and what is going out. So things are really, really expensive. So just for a start, we want to see if we can organize some kind of a fundraiser. I mean, if it's only me or 3 people that, try to support them, there's so much that we can get. But if each and every one of us, whatever, if it's just one meal that you can sacrifice, we can trust Boaz, as we all know him, to really make sure that people are okay. We cannot solve the problem in Goma. And I, for one, I'm not a very big fan of aid because it has all these issues. But these are, as Megan said, this situation is family, like it hits home. So we want to make sure that, if they need to go to the neighboring country, so that's what they've been doing in terms of accessing internet and so on and so forth. They have to travel out of DRC. They have to go to another country, Rwanda or wherever. So let's support them in this period of instability. Megan is going to organize that. Instead of sending anonymous donations straight to Boaz's wallet, what we decided is that it might probably be better for people that want to be recognized. If you make a donation, if you be recognized, we'll write your name. If however recognition that you're looking for, we will make sure that we do that. But yeah, originally we thought that we'd just do an anonymous sent to Boaz's wallet, but that like we have different needs. So let's do that for sure. Right now, fiat is not very good there, but crypto is, thank God. And some of the tools that Equival, ADAX have been building. The use case is really, really becoming clear. I don't want to take too much time. I'm going to hand it over first of all to Jonty, because I don't know if Boaz or from the DRC area can speak. Cheers.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mercy. Yes, good tools such as ADAX are very useful. For example, I've used it many times to send some funds through mobile money. So thanks to Dan's team for having put the tool at our disposal. In the situation in Goma is critical, given that again the central government has almost refused for banks to open. They're kind of in a tight bind because the government gives you a license. So when you're in a private enterprise, you cannot go against such countries where the decision making is centralized in the capital. It's at your own risk. So you have to play the game. Banks are most likely not going to open. Not at least currently till the negotiations or something like that. Maybe the government will allow them, because if without cash, even the economic systems cannot work. Another problem, of course, is the issue of looting that happened right at the end of the fighting, which made many business traders and ourselves become affected. Even though we would like to give out goods, the looting had made it hard to manage, given that sometimes when you have a stock, you can manage on to how much you can give as loans. So it is a combination of both the liquidity and the goods being in a state of disconnect. In case of help for the Goma Wada Hub, they are it's a very, very coordinated group. Boaz is doing a lot of work. They always meet on a weekly basis. So I know now they're kind of in a situation where everybody will feel rather be able to meet on Saturdays as usual. It may not be the case. The school has opened. However, we started with the managers before we opened to the students. They may have started on Wednesday. A student may confirm that, but that's the decision I had made, just to be safe. The other school, there are two schools. One opened last year, but they opened all the way, and they are so far stable. In terms of the situation in Goma, it happens every day. Like crypto plays a role in many ways. It allows the user to be independent. The funds they have, they can trust themselves to be able to exchange it, and they know they can go to international markets for the exchange. So yes, it is still better in terms of once they trust it, they know it, and they feel safe to hold it. So even among themselves, the barter, the exchange can happen quickly in crypto. And I know many people are starting to ask around as to how they can themselves open wallets, because they know that even they go to Uganda, they can exchange it at a better rate than having cash. The issue also we are facing is the whole internet communication. Crypto and blockchain relies on the internet. In Goma, the internet is kind of limited, even though there is limited access. Yes, the blockchain can still work, and the applications are working, like ADAX is working with Airtel Money. The other case, of course, is the whole blockchain application. That place of the Congo is vulnerable to attacks because of the minerals in the area. We're bordered with a country which is pretty much a dictatorship, where one person can decide as to when armies are going to go across the border. So it happens every 5 years or so for mineral access and looting, basically. So that's what is happening now. Unfortunately, that the population in that area is always going through the same cycle. And they're kind of resilient. But yeah, the population is still strong. But but this fighting in Goma is kind of peculiar, because usually it did not happen. So it's kind of a change in moods. I think people are kind of tired. So that's why Goma was really a heavy fight. Usually they don't fight in cities. But now I think the population kind of said like, you know what, we're going to resist and see what we can do. Yeah, so it's kind of strange, but a lot of distraction. But it can get worse because this had happened now. So we'll see how it goes. Thanks, Boaz. If you can give another update as to how our members are, if you can talk, welcome. I know I've gotten news from Akili, from Martin, from Amida, from Boaz, and so they're chatting in the WhatsApp groups. I think at least they have intermittent connection, given that there's no economic activities. Many do not have generators for their power. Even when you have access to the internet, but your battery is off, the result is the same. You're going to be offline. Yeah, so that's the situation currently. Boaz, if you can talk, let me know. If not, I think that's it, and that's the update I will give to the community. And thank you again for the fundraiser. The team is trustworthy. The coordination through WADA will be very useful. Merci.
Thank you very much, Jonty. So just to very quickly introduce, sort of Jonty for the recording later. So Jonty is one of our ecosystem leads. He currently works for the Canadian federal government, but he has very strong family ties in Goma, and it is actually his family school, university. That's where the hub operates out of. So thank you very much for that update. Megan, over to you. We don't know if Boaz is able to speak.
Yeah, well, just to add on to the end, feel free to reach out to me directly. We wanted to announce it in this setting and allow anyone else to give feedback on how to go about it. But what we're leaning towards is, as Mercy was saying, kind of a coordinating maybe one transaction, but that we could also have recognition for who's donating if they want to. So reach out to me directly if you want to get involved, but I'll also be sending some communication out separately for how to get involved in that. And I don't see any hands up, and we are running out of time. I know some of us do have more active roles in that next call coming up. So I'm going to kind of close out the meeting now. Thanks everyone for being here. And we hope to see you again next week. Reminder, next week we will be at the later time. We heard your feedback. So we will be going back to a bit later, 5 p.m. UTC. Thanks everyone so much for your time, and see you again next week.